So we have even more Switch 2 rumors, and I think it's going to get worse and worse as we get towards the end of the year. This year, there's going to be a lot of rumors. I'm still unsure about the whole notion of a Switch 2 release at the end of this year. I think at most we'll get an announcement, but the release will be next year, at most. But things are getting kind of cranking up again. The rumors are spilling again, and I don't know. There's some validity to these. The last video I did, there was some validity to at least one of them. Not the Spanish site, but the other site had some validity. But now we're going to talk about some more, and this, of course, again is by way of My Nintendo News. Via Reset Era. It's our Reset Era via Nintendo News. So, MobilePad, which is a Nintendo Switch accessory manufacturer, has published details regarding the Switch 2 on their Bilibili page. What is Bilibili? Um, while nothing should be taken as truth at present until it is officially revealed by Nintendo, obviously, the accessory manufacturer says that the Nintendo Switch 2 features a 1080p screen with a dock capable of 4K. I don't know about all that. New Joy-Con buttons. Okay, that's unusual, and is, of course, backwards compatible with Nintendo Switch games. Here is the details via Reset Era member R. So, the Bluetooth chip of the Switch 2 will support existing Joy-Con and Pro controllers and still features HD vibration, ALPS dual axis linear motor. Switch 2 has backwards compatibility with Switch 1 cartridges, but the Switch 2 cartridges will be different and won't fit on the Switch 1, which that's obvious. Let's look back at the transition from the DS to the 3DS. The 3DS cartridges would not work on the DS. DS cartridges would work on a 3DS because they changed up the insertion a little bit. So there was this notch, and I wish I had a 3DS cartridge on me. I would show you what I'm talking about. But so that sounds about right. They're just repeating what they did with the DS and 3DS. The new Joy Cons are larger and are magnetically attached. See, there's that rumor coming back up again. To the console with an electromagnet. The SL and SR buttons are metallic now. Why? Uh, and there's a new button behind each Joy-Con, located where the button is. Okay, that's weird. And a new button below the home button on the right Joy-Con, location where the button is. They're showing it. We're showing it. They're showing it. Ah, right there. Ha ha. So they're gonna put a button there? What? Okay. 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 Let's see. They're putting another button there, and they are putting a button here. Okay. 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 Thank you for the pictures. I was confused why they were showing these links, and I should have just clicked them, but yeah, so the dock still has a USB-C port and will also support 4K image output. The new kickstand also has a damping bracket on the back for improved angle adjustment. Okay, so that's for like if you're sitting it by itself on the on your desk or what have you. They're just trying to improve the kickstand thing a bit more. So that's good. That's good. The screen is bigger up to 8 inches and the resolution is upgraded to 1080p. I don't know how true any of this stuff is. I can say that it is exciting. I need to put in a shortcut key for that. Um, it's exciting. I'll give it that. It's exciting, but how true? It's hard to be excited when you don't know if something's true or not. But I'm interested in these buttons. Why would they put these buttons? Added buttons. So there's an extra button on the right Joy-Con down here at the bottom, and going to be a button up at the top behind the triggers, I guess. Why? What are they doing? What is happening? Hmm. There's the electromagnetic attachment things again. That rumor is coming back up. So maybe there is some validity to that. Uh, Maybe the Spanish site was correct when they talked about that. We'll see. This is all very interesting. I don't know. It's very interesting. Um, I'm I'm looking forward to it, I think. But what I do want to talk about now is the supposed CPU. There's got to be more information out there having to do with the CPU. And I haven't, yeah, the Tegra, here it is, NVIDIA's Tegra, blah, blah, blah. Oh, God. So, inside NVIDIA's new hardware for Switch 2, what is the T239? Well, this is as good a spot as ever to actually look into it, so let's have a look-see at it. Oh, great. Cookies, whatever. I don't hardly come to Eurogamer. But this was posted back in, there's usually a date. Why is there no date? I don't see a date. Oh, there it is. 2023. So this was last year. So way back in June 2021, noted technology leaker, I'm not, Copite 7K IMI, what? Posted a detailed picture of NVIDIA's T234 processor, revealing for the first time that Nintendo would be receiving a customized variant dubbed the T239. In the 2 years that followed, a wealth of overwhelming evidence has essentially confirmed that they were right. The T239 is an advanced mobile processor based on an octa-core ARM A7 8C CPU cluster, paired with a custom graphics unit based on NVIDIA's RTX 30 series. That's not bad. That's not bad. RTX. Oh, now we're talking here. That sounds groovy. Uh, Combined with some back-ported elements from the latest, what is this, Ada Lovelace GPUs, and with an all-new file uh, decompression engine for the fast engine. What does that mean? It also supports NVIDIA's console-specific graphics API, all but confirming that it's designed for the next generation Switch. Let me remind you all that early on it was pretty much confirmed for anyone who did the research that the original Switch rocked the ability to use a little API called Vulkan. All right. It had Vulkan support. All right. Just saying. So some games did use that API. We'll probably see that keep being used, but yeah. Uh, so it's all but confirms that it's destined for the next generation Switch. In this piece, we'll talk about the various evidence that links the T239 with Nintendo, and we'll also be taking a look at the closest equivalent mobile GPU in the graphic space, downclocking it to ultra low frequencies in an attempt to get some kind of handle on what a low power ampere. I am botching that word, and I know I am, and I know somebody's going to correct me. Based graphics core can offer, whether ray tracing is possible, and just how important DLSS upscaling could be for a second generation Nintendo hybrid handheld console. We'll also see whether our analysis marries up with any of the sparse information gleaned from the Gamescom showing of a Switch 2 to select developers. And of course, Nintendo denied that, by the way, which I think they're lying. They're lying. They're always lying. Nintendo likes to lie. It's a known thing now that Nintendo will lie to your face. But let's kick off with a basic fundamental question. Can we say for sure, with absolute 100% certainty, that the T239 is indeed the Switch 2 chip? That's a negative. However, we can definitely tie the T239 to a Nintendo project, and there's no evidence, if needed, no need for NVIDIA to create this chip for anyone else. For its own endeavors in the automotive and robotics market, the firm already has the T234, and to understand the custom variant, it's a really good idea to get to know what the T234 is and why Nintendo couldn't use this chip to begin with. So, I don't want to have to read through this whole thing, but I would like to know a little bit more about it. So it sounds like they took according to this, they took the T234, turned it into something called the T239 by making some adjustments to make it probably useful for Nintendo's needs, which makes sense. And it also makes sense that Nintendo would stick with Nvidia. It kind of came out of left field, and that's Nintendo for you. They are the kings of left field, and you can ask Arlo that came from him. He says that, and he's right. They are the king of out of left field. So it came out of left field that they were using Nvidia. Nobody saw that. I don't know if anybody saw that coming. Everyone that I watched, even Spawnwave Media, were saying that they were saying that when it came to the Switch that and my brain just kind of died on me. Uh that it was gonna be AMD. We all thought it was AMD. Of course, if I'm not mistaken, AMD is their technology is in the Xbox consoles and the PlayStation consoles. But when it comes to Nintendo, I'm guessing maybe it's part of just wanting to make sure that the other two guys don't get their technology, don't get anything, because maybe there's this worry that if they went with AMD as well, this is just pure speculation on my part. I speculate on things; it's a habit, but purely on based on speculation, it just seems to me maybe that Nintendo maybe didn't want anything that they were doing to leak out to the other two companies. So if they went with AMD, there was that possibility. So instead of going with AMD, they went with Nvidia. That's just a theory. A game theory. Not really. It's a technology theory, if anything. It's a theory of where they're going with this stuff. Uh Let's see, going back to the first Switch, no custom processor was involved at all. Yeah, they said there was a custom processor in the Switch, right? They said there was a custom processor, and it turned out, no, it's just the Tegra. It's just a Tegra X1 in there. There was no special chip in there for the damn thing. They just slapped an X1 in there and made it work. Uh, which is what they're saying here. Yeah, designed from the get-go for the tablet, phone, and gaming market. Tegra X1 was a dud until Nintendo co-opted it for Switch, where it found a new lease on life. For Switch 2, Nvidia has nothing in the parts bin that's appropriate for a successor. The latest Tegra processors, like the T234, are built for an entirely different, more demanding market. The building blocks are there for a great mobile chip, but the existing configuration is just too large and bloated for a streamlined mainstream console. Okay, so that's why they had to adjust it and make the T239. But that's like I said, Nintendo, they didn't go with AMD, and now we're seeing stuff like this. It's it's fascinating to me. Um, I still think that the supporting APIs, the graphics APIs, are going to be the same. This will allow certain engines that work with the Switch, like Unreal. Unreal has been made to work with the Switch. It'll still work with the Switch too, and I think that's what they're counting on to keep the momentum going. They're trying not to make any mistakes. They probably stepped back and looked at what competition has done in the past. Let's think about the mistakes that Sony has made over time. Nintendo's trying to avoid all of that. They want to make something that's still easy to program for, still easy to develop games for, or at least as easy as the current Switch. They don't want to blindside people with technology that requires all new learning and everything. So if they go about it the way they're going, they'll probably have to make minor adjustments to the Unreal Engine or whatever engine out there that's being used will only need minor adjustments, if any at all. And mostly what I'm thinking is going to end up happening is we're going to have a device that's actually more capable than the current Switch, with the Switch 2 that's able to play the games that we already have just at better refresh rates, less of the whole constant resolution changing thing that Nintendo likes to do with their games. I hate that. It sucks. It's really annoying. It's like down throttling on something. It's very, 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 very frustrating. I can tell you that much. Um, so let's see. They're talking about the existing T234 is a monster of a chip with a die size of 455 M2. It dwarfs the Xbox Series X processor. Okay, that's why they're having to make an adjusted version that's been modified, probably to be smaller and fit into the Switch 2 more comfortably. I'm thinking when it comes to the Switch 2, what I'm thinking is that they're making a one that's specific for just one thing really, and that's gaming. So they're kind of downing it a bit, and there's this understanding as far as rumors go that the Switch 2 as far as its abilities, it's gonna be able to run everything kind of the same way it is. I'm pretty sure there'll be a lot to be taken advantage of with the software that comes out for it, and that's really, 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 really cool. I've been talking for over 16 minutes. Wow, this is gonna be a big video. I meant for it to just be Nintendo Switch news, but it can't be helped. So NVIDIA's T239, its next generation gaming processor. It is a gaming processor. Uh, so they adjusted the T234 and created the T239 specifically just for gaming because I'm guessing because they don't have anything like that. What's immediately clear is that the T234 is simply too big to work in a mobile product. At 455 millimeter to whatever that means, that's I'm pretty sure that's the size of it. This processor is much larger than the 392MM2 RTX 3070, and with a mixture of common sense reasoning, leaks, a big NVIDIA hack, and inappropriate LinkedIn post from NVIDIA and ex NVIDIA staff, we have a good picture of what form T239 will take. Also crucial is that NVIDIA maintains its own Linux distribution, and while much of it is private, there are enough references to the T239 in there to get a handle on the makeup of the processor. So let's see. T2. So what they're thinking is going to be an 8XR ARM A7 8C, an Ampere. As far as the architecture is called an Ampere. The CUDA cores is 1,539. Could we compare that with the current chip that's in there? Like how many CUDA cores are the CUDA cores? How many CUDA cores? Let's do a search real quick. Uh, Tegra X1 CUDA cores. Let's find out about the Tegra. How many blah 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 Tegra X1. It only has 256 CUDA cores. It's the Maxwell. It doesn't have much at all. Holy crap. Wow, this thing is here and I can look at this. So let's see. CUDA. Yeah, okay. So it only has 256 CUDA cores for the Maxwell GPU. The Tegra X1 delivers class leading performance. At the time, it's anemic now. It's anemic. So now let's go back to this. Where the hell was I? What just happened? Why are you back up towards the top? We were talking about CUDA cores, and now you're back down at the bottom. Will you please stop that? Okay, here we go. Cores paired with a GPU based on the. Oh, that's right. I was looking at this. Ha ha ha. Okay. So the T234 has 2,048 CUDA cores, while the T239 supposedly will have 1,536 CUDA cores, which is still a huge jump over what the original Switch boasted, which of course was only 256 CUDA cores. So that's a lot. As for the memory, memory interface. Now I gotta look this up. Hang on. I gotta look this up with this one too. Memory. Okay. So we have that. Let's see. So they're saying the T234 has 256-bit LPDDR5, and while this one is only going to have a 128-bit 64 gigabit GDDR6. Are they really going to stick six? So only 4 gigabytes of the memory, though. That's what it sounds like. Oh, that's the RTX. Okay. Memory bandwidth. Okay. So it's not a huge drop from the original. That's cool. I like that. But when you try to look up this kind of information for here, it's not very clear what they're talking about. I don't know. Maybe it's adjustable depending on the one that's ordered. I think I'm going to go ahead and leave that page alone real quick. I want to kind of hurry up and get this video done because it's already been over 21 minutes. Memory bandwidth is crucial for a mobile gaming machine, and it's the primary performance bottleneck in the current Switch. The 256-bit interface in the T239 is wildly extravagant for a mobile games machine, and NVIDIA's Linux update suggests a 128-bit interface, almost certainly paired with LPDDR5 memory. We should expect absolute maximum bandwidth, blah, blah. This is all speculative. Everything he's talking about here in this article is completely freaking speculative. We don't actually know anything, but if any of this is true, it is a lot to be excited for. This is very, very, very exciting. I'm not going to sit here and keep reading this. That's a lot to read. And I don't think people tend to tune into a video to listen to a guy just read on an article. But everything that we have to compare with the current Switch and this Switch sounds like it's going to be pretty good. It's let me just say, graphics aren't everything. But if you are going to have really nice looking graphics, I personally, I would at least like it to be stable. Stability is the issue. Stability is what's lacking in a lot of games on the Switch now. They shoehorned in The Witcher, what was it, The Witcher 3? They shoehorned that in there. The visuals aren't quite that crisp or beautiful. They did the same thing with Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal. My brain is clack-a-lacking right now. I can't believe I'm able to memorize this stuff and actually spurt it out. But so they had to do that. Now think about this for a second. These games end up running on the Switch too. They end up running on the Switch too, right? And somehow the machine is able to make them just at least not do that adjustable resolution crap and not be too slow. Doom, any of the first person shooters that they put on the original Switch, they were hampered by the frame rates. Like if you want to play a good, twitchy type game, you need those frames per second. It doesn't have it. It doesn't have it. Nintendo, one thing I will say about them is they're bad about doing what they need done. When they make a device, they're really more thinking about themselves first. Let us not forget the whole thing that happened with Capcom. Capcom kind of jumped in at one point, or somebody from Capcom, and said, no, you need more memory than this. This is not going to be enough memory. And I think, what did they put in there? Was like 4 gigs? Was it 4 gig or was it 2 gigs? I can't remember. Was it 3 gigs? I remember they weren't going to put very many in there, and Capcom convinced them to put more memory. Which what a lot of good that did. Let's look at the fact that games that Capcom made aren't actually playable on the device itself, on the original Switch. You can't. They instead released a cloud version. Fucking cloud version. That's not the same. Same thing happened with Square Enix. They put the Kingdom Hearts collection on there as a cloud version. I am so hoping, maybe it's not likely, but I am so hoping that the Switch 2, they're able to actually put the full games on there. I would not mind a re-release of an actual full version that I download of Resident Evil, hell, Resident Evil 7 and 8, put those bitches on there. Full-fledged versions of those. Put those on there. Put the remakes on the Switch too. It'll be great to play that stuff on the go on a Nintendo device. That way, and I hate to quote Richard Masucci over at Review Tech USA, that way you have this one device that has those first-party games that you love from Nintendo, but also the third party, the first and the third party. I hate quoting him. He is right to an extent. He is right in that you need both of those to have a successful console, really, to especially for the longevity. Where I disagree with him is that the Switch, the original Switch, was a success in spite of those things. It was even evident that it was gonna be a pretty big success, and that's why they jumped on it. The Switch didn't end up being this huge success because it got those games. That had very little to do with it. The fact of the matter is the market said, yes, here's what remains to really be seen. This is the real kicker right here. Are people going to care at this point? Are people going to freaking care when you look at the fact that we have things like the ROG Ally and the what is it, the A and Neo or whatever, and the Steam Deck? Are people going to care? Are people going to care about the Switch too? Hopefully those first party games make people care. I mean, that'll be the difference. You're not going to get those first party games on the Steam Deck, on the ROG Ally, or on the that other one that I mentioned because I can't remember now. How is this going to work out? Those are the questions, right? Those are the questions. Those are what's on our minds. How's this going to play out? How is this going to play out? Here's the funny thing about the indie developer stuff that you notice it's been mostly indie stuff and small scale stuff. It's like they are fixing to get ready for something. They're not going to talk about any huge games that you would expect to see, later in the year, because that's going to be announced for the Switch too. Will it be at the end of this year that they'll announce it and it'll be released next year? Or is the rumors about it being in June and that they'll announce the new Switch in June? And that at the end of the month or towards the end of the year in December, holiday, they'll have all these games ready. Oh, very interesting, exciting times. I hope Nintendo pulls it off in a way. I mean, there are things that I disagree with this company. I can't, it's true. There's stuff that I just cannot agree with them. So, but at the same time, it would suck if they failed as a company. The industry needs Nintendo, unfortunately. In a way, unfortunately. Regardless of Nintendo's horrible practices with their IPs and whatnot, the industry would be worse off without Nintendo. You need as much competition as possible within this industry to keep things fair and balanced and to keep the consumer happy. This has been The Goof, and that was a long video. You have a good one. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe. All right, I'm out. Have a good one.